In South Africa, the National Party, or the NP government, had a surprise election victory in 1948, and afterwards they created a massive social reconstruction. This reconstruction enacted new apartheid laws with strict enforcement of discriminatory legislation. Like the past laws and amendments to the Immortality Act, in 1951 the separate representation of voter bills removed coloreds, or Asians, Indians, or mixed people, from the Common Rule, or the Bill of Rights. Removing colored rights, enforcing, passing, and amending discriminatory laws was the National Party's way of reconstructing South Africa's social classes, with the white European minority at the top with all of the power, and every other non-European at the bottom with no power and no representation. On April 6, 1952, white Europeans, or South Africans, they celebrated the arrival of Jean Val Riebeeck at Cape Town in 1652. While the African National Congress, or the NAC, and the SIAC called fellow Black South Africans to make the day a national day of pledge and prayer. This occurred in Johannesburg, Pretoria, Port Elizabeth, Durban, East London, Cape Town, and many other rural places. Professor Z.H. Matthews said that only the African people themselves will ever rid themselves of political subjugation, economic exploitation, and social degradation. Now, the philosophy of this Defiance Campaign was of peaceful disobedience, which gradually turned militant. Civil disobedience is the refusal to comply with certain laws or to pay taxes and fines as a peaceful form of political protest. The philosophy of civil disobedience was inspired by Martin Luther King in America. However, this passive way of protesting got nowhere. After years of trying the peaceful protesting, the campaign turned to more militant forms of protesting. Militant means vigorously active, combative, and aggressive, especially in support of a cause. The Defiance Campaign was set to begin on June 26, 1952. Prior, on Sunday, June 22nd, called a Day of the Volunteers, participants signed a pledge showing and signifying their alliance to the campaign. Important volunteers in this first group included Nelson Mandela, Yusuf Taju, Moses Kotane, J.B. Marks, David Bopapi, and Walter Sisulu. Alongside them, others defied apartheid laws in major cities in South Africa. These volunteers included Africans, Indians, and some whites and other colored peoples. These participants united under a National Action Committee with members such as Ismail Malvi Kachalia and Nelson Mandela as the volunteer-in-chief. They used freedom songs, Africa and Mayubi, chants, and the thumbs-up sign to display their unity as they protested. Protesters violated apartheid regulations to be arrested, such as sitting on whites-only benches or entering areas designated for Europeans. This campaign spread throughout South Africa and continued into December of 1952. The total number of participants arrested was 8,057 people. Those arrested normally faced short-term imprisonment or small fines. In one special case, 24 were acquitted after a railway waiting room was deemed unequal. The campaign concerned the government of South Africa, and some national leaders were charged with promoting communism under the Suppression of Communism Act. Later, some of those accused leaders were charged with high treason and statutory communism. This campaign was unsuccessful in directly changing and overturning apartheid laws, but their protest gained the international attention of the UN, and a commission was established to look into the issues.
Because of the campaign, tens of thousands of people joined the ANC, and it helped make their efforts more militant. The Defiance Campaign marked the beginning of non-racial cooperation and showed the organizational power and leadership of Africans.